Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Am I blending into the background too much with all this pink on? I think I am. Oh well. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. So today I'm back with another storytime video for you guys, and this time I'm going to be telling you guys about my very first experience working for a New York City Fashion Week fashion show as a hairstylist. And I use the term fashion show very, very loosely because that is giving them way too much dignity. That the show was such a joke. It was a very bad experience. So just keep listening, I'll tell you, I'll explain it all. Okay, so this show took place in 2017 or 2018. I think it's 2018, but I'm not really sure. But anyway, it was in February. It was the February show. So like I said, this was my first time doing a fashion week show, and it was 100% volunteer. If you guys don't know, if you ever are interested in being in that type of industry, your first few shows are gonna be unpaid. Unless you know somebody who's already in the game and, you know, who's already up there, you won't get paid, because you don't get paid unless you are asked to be in the show. But if you're still a nobody, technically speaking, you're not gonna make any money. So that was fine. So this show was 100% volunteer. I was not in this for the money, I was in it for the experience. So anyway, so there's a website where you can sign up for volunteer shows for people who do like the lesser shows, like the designers that aren't like the high-end ones. So for them to save money or save costs or whatever on makeup artists and hairstylists and stuff like that, they look for people like me who was more after the exposure and the experience and not after the money. So I signed up for a couple of shows, and this is just one of the companies that ended up responding back to me and hiring me to work with them. I wish I remember the name of this company. I want to say it's something to do with like your identification, like your ID, something about expressing yourself, something like that. I'll remember it in a second. It's coming back to me. So anyway, I signed up for the show. They ask you to send in pictures of your work or something like that. Long story short, they asked me to come and work with them for the show. So this particular show, they're doing their showcase for 2 days, but I only did the first day because I also got accepted to another show that was the very next day. So I only did 1 day with them. None of that was really important, to be honest. So anyway, let's just get to the day of the show. So it's the morning of the show, and I'm in a hotel because it's in New York City, where I do not live. I live in Pennsylvania, so I'm about an hour and a half away from there. So I ended up staying in a hotel the night before because it was just easier. So in the email where they gave us all of our information or whatever, we were given an address to go to meet up for, you know, getting the models ready and everything. So I'm there walking the streets of Manhattan with my little train case, feeling all professional and whatnot. And I'm used to being in the city, but I didn't know exactly where I was going because I didn't know this one particular location. And I was using Google Maps, and I don't know about you guys, but the walking directions are so confusing because it takes a while for your phone to figure out what direction you're walking in. So anyways, I remember I was given one number to text whoever was in charge. I forgot her name, but it was somebody who was in charge. So I remember I was texting her saying, I'm running a little bit late because I'm not familiar with where I am and I can't find the building. And I never got a response. Whatever. So anyways, I finally end up on the street where I'm supposed to be, and I see somebody else coming in the opposite direction who also had a train case just like me, and I was like, okay, cool, this is where the show is. So when I caught up to her, she's like looking inside the window of where we're supposed to be. So she's like, oh, are you here for the show too? And I was like, yeah. So she's saying, has anybody answered you yet this morning? And I'm like, no. And I could tell that she's like really distressed and really confused. And I'm surprised because I'm late, okay? I'm not that late. I'm like 7 minutes late, but on time is still late. So to be 7 minutes late is really, really late. So I'm really surprised that we can't find anybody else in this show besides us. So I'm getting this feeling in my mind like, oh no, we've been scammed, like someone's gonna come out of the back alley and kidnap us or something. So anyway, so the building where we're supposed to be, according to the address that we were given, the door is locked. So we go into the building next door, and it's like this little cafe, I think, or something, some place that was like just opening because it was pretty early in the morning. So we were telling the owner, like, do you know what's going on next door or whatever? He said no, but you guys can hang out here rather than stand out in the cold, because it was February, so it was cold. So we stayed there, and then somebody else who was also looking for the same place that we were looking for, this guy, he was a photographer, so he was there with his cameras and everything. Also just as confused as we were, wasn't getting an answer on his phone from, I forgot the name of who was in charge. Let's just call her cell phone. So we can't get in touch with cell phone. We have her number, but she's not answering us. We're trying to figure out when we get in no response whatsoever. And it's just weird because it's supposed to be a lot of people who are working, not just one makeup artist. The other girl that I found, she's a makeup artist, so it shouldn't be one makeup artist, one hairstylist, one photographer. So we're like, where is everybody? So anyway, so the cafe owner says that if we want, we can leave our stuff there and he'll lock it up for us and we can go and get breakfast or something, because at this point we were just sitting and waiting and confused. So we ended up leaving our stuff there and went to a Starbucks for breakfast. And then I want to say at this point, when we finally did get a response, it's been about an hour that we've been waiting, or maybe a little bit less. So I remember, okay, I'm going to give everybody a name. So the leader is Cell Phone. I'm going to call the photographer Photo, and I'm going to call the makeup artist Makeup, okay? So Makeup and Photo were my friends for the moment because we were all just this trio that we were just lost and confused in the streets of Manhattan. So anyway, so Makeup gets a text message from, what did I call her? Cell Phone? Yeah. So Cell Phone finally gets in touch with makeup artist, and she gives us this address that we're supposed to be at, you know, as if we're at the wrong place, which is really weird that all three of us had the wrong address. So that means you messed up, we didn't, but whatever. So we go back to the cafe, we get our stuff, and we walk to this other address, which was probably like 10 blocks away, and Manhattan blocks are really short, so it wasn't a big deal, it wasn't a long walk, but it was just very bizarre. And already right from the start, it seemed disorganized. And I remember when we went back to the cafe to get our stuff, Makeup was like, okay, I'm done. This is stupid. I could tell this is going to be a joke. This is disorganized. I'm just going to go home. So she ended up going home. She lived in the area anyway, so that was good for her. Me, who came all the way from Pennsylvania, I was like, no, I'm going to go to the show and see what this is all about. Hi, everyone. So it's Kelsey from editing here, and I'm just interrupting this video because I forgot to mention a detail from the story. So after me and Photo and Makeup ended up going back to the first location to pick our stuff up, we found a few more people who were also looking for answers to whatever this show was supposed to be, and they had also received messages from whoever was in charge, aka Cell Phone, and one person had gotten a message from her saying, oh, the show actually starts at, I think, 1 o'clock or something, basically a lot later than we were originally told. Another person got a message from her saying, oh, I'm running late, I'm in a meeting, and we were just like, how could you possibly have a meeting scheduled on a day that you have a whole show planned? You know what I mean? So basically we all had different messages from her, except me, who still hadn't heard from her. So it was, again, just a really big mess. So we were just one big crowd of confusion. So it wasn't just me and Photo who ended up going to the new location, it was also a few more people who we had just found. So we all ended up walking to the new address except for Makeup, who ended up going home, and I can't blame her for that at all. Anyway, back to the story. So me and Photo went to the new address, and the address was like this small hotel. And don't get me wrong, it's not really weird that a show would be taking place in a hotel because some hotels have really big ballrooms, but this was a very small hotel, like a Howard Johnson or something, you know? So we're like, this is the spot? First of all, why didn't the text message just say, go to this hotel on this street? Why'd you give us like a street address? We thought we were going to another kind of building. So we get there, and then we go up to the second floor, and I remember getting off the elevator, and it was just chaotic, okay? It was chaotic. It was a regular hotel hallway, okay? Nothing special, but the hallway was so crowded, and there were these two rooms with the doors wide open, and you could see that it was just ridiculously crowded in both rooms. And I'm just thinking, there's no way this is where we're supposed to be. This can't be it. This isn't the fashion show. This isn't Fashion Week. So we didn't know who to get in touch with. We couldn't figure out where Cell Phone was or whoever she is. Like, who's in charge of this show? We just see a bunch of people crowding this hotel room. It looked like a bunch of college kids throwing a hotel party that got way out of hand, basically. So I remember, I think Photo ended up staying outside in the hallway because they only wanted the makeup artists and hairstylists and models in the rooms. So yeah, it was a ton of people. So I remember I like squeezed into the room. I forgot how we figured that out, but whatever. So I went into the room, and I don't know who I was talking to, but I told somebody that I was a hairstylist and I'm supposed to be here for this show, and she's like, oh yeah, this is it. And I made like a random comment like, oh wow, it's really crowded in here or something, and she goes, girl, this is Fashion Week. And I'm just thinking, she didn't just say that this is Fashion Week. I'm like, okay, so yeah, Fashion Week is going on right now, but this cannot be a Fashion Week show. Please, who do you think you're fooling? I know I didn't sign up for a high-end show, but this is a hotel room. So this can't be the deal, right? So anyway, we're in a hotel room, not even a hotel suite, just a regular room with one bed and one armchair and I think a desk. and I want to say there were like 50 people in this room. I'm not even exaggerating. So I'm just looking for something to do. So I think eventually I ended up being assigned a model, and I ended up working on her in the bathroom. She sat on the toilet and I was just sitting behind her doing her hair, and I had to set my stuff up in the bathtub. So that's where I was working. I remember at one point, Photo came back in the room, like he found me because that's my friend for the day. So he was just trying to find something to do, and I felt bad for him because he's a photographer, so he came to do pictures and whatnot, and he had nothing to take pictures of, so he was like, if you want I could take pictures of you doing your hair. So he used my phone and took pictures of me. So that was that. So I mean, that was fun, I guess, but it was just it was just crazy. And I remember at one point, this is a small thing, but I got so frustrated because somebody accidentally knocked over all my stuff, and everything just like piled in the bathtub, and it was just a mess. It wouldn't have been such a big deal if it wasn't as chaotic as it was. So anyway, then I ended up moving from the bathroom because I got another model, and I needed to use my curling iron, and there was no outlet in there. So I ended up finding some corner, and I was curling her hair, and I was having a good conversation with this girl. You know, I was telling her about what I do and how I travel and yada yada yada. And then out of nowhere, this huge fight erupts. Not a physical fight, it was just a verbal fight, but it's these two girls who were just arguing back and forth. I think what happened was somebody stole this girl's hair gel, and the other girl was like, no I didn't, or it wasn't yours, or something. It was something over hair gel or edge control or something like that. It was a stupid topic, but they were just arguing back and forth, just arguing. So it just started getting really crazy because it started with two girls arguing back and forth, and then other people started getting involved because one of the girls who were arguing was also pregnant. So everyone's like, oh, leave her alone, she's pregnant, and this and that. And to me, I just feel like you guys don't even know what they're fighting about. To me, it's just, I don't like when people get involved when they don't actually know the backstory. You can't just come in a story and take one person's side and be like, oh, she's pregnant, so obviously you should leave her alone. You don't know who's in the wrong or who's in the right, you know what I mean? That's not really important, but it's just that it just turned to like a whole room-wide argument over somebody supposedly stealing hair gel, and I'm just squeezing this back corner trying to curl this girl's hair, and I don't even have a good like angle to work at. I was frustrated because I'm not like diagnosed with claustrophobia or anything, but I don't like being in crowded spaces. I'm very uncomfortable, and in my mind, I feel like I can't breathe. So I'm already beyond uncomfortable, and I'm just disappointed because this is not the experience that I was expecting to get. I'm in a crowded hotel room. So anyway, eventually security comes up to the room and tells us all to clear out. I thought it was because of the fight, but it turns out it's because duh, it was a fire hazard. There are way too many people in these rooms. We had two overcrowded rooms, and then they were also crowding the hallway. So they were like, you guys can't stay here. So everyone's like, okay, we need to pack up our stuff and go to this location. So I'm like in the middle of doing this model's hair or whatever, but I'm like, okay, I guess this is happening. So I had to pack all my stuff back up, and then all 100 and something of us, maybe it wasn't that many, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it was a lot of us, ended up taking this walk together. So I don't even know where we're going. I'm just following the crowd, and I was happy because Photo caught up with me again, because again, that was my friend. I just felt so alone this day, so I was glad that I had just one friend, okay? So yeah, so we're walking with all our train cases on our bags and whatever, and I'm just following the crowd. I don't know where we're going, but then we end up going back to the same location that we were at this morning, where me and Photo and Makeup had met up, waiting for cell phone to get back at us. So I'm just thinking, oh, okay, so now this place is open. So I was just happy that the show was gonna be here and not in some random hotel basement or wherever it was supposed to be. So I was like, oh, okay, so we were just getting ready at the hotel, but the show's over here, which is weird to me because usually when you're doing a fashion show, the models will get ready there. You won't have your models walking on the street with their hair and makeup all done, and then next thing you know, it starts raining or the wind blows and everything's a mess, you know? Like, we didn't even have any car. We walked on the street, so that was weird that the location was that far apart. But I mean, I can't be too picky because like I said, this is a volunteer show, so it's not a high-end show, whatever, but like, come on. Have a little bit of organization, you know what I mean? So the building that the show was at, or wherever this location was, is like a typical Manhattan looking area. It's like a narrow but long building. It has this loft on top, and there were these paintings all over. It's like a very small New York City art gallery. You know, white walls, white railings, everything just white and brick. So there's this main room, like right underneath where the loft was, there was a room under there, and that's where they had us all continue to get the models ready. And I couldn't find my model, the one who I had half finished at the hotel, so I just started working on somebody else. Like, I was literally just standing there, because at this point I was like, this is pathetic. Like, someone should be here assigning models to me. I shouldn't be standing here like, hey, I need a model, I'm here to work, I'm a hairstylist. Like, there was no way to tell who was who in this whole thing. So eventually I just ended up just waiting until somebody came to me and asked what I was doing. I was like, yeah, I do hair. And she's like, oh, good, I need somebody to do my hair. Oh, another thing that was weird about this thing was that no one gave me like a briefing or whatever. Like, usually when you're doing shows, somebody would give you like a lookbook or something, so you knew what kind of looks the designers were going for. Not that I knew who the designers were, because I didn't know who anybody was, but I had no previous information on what kind of hairstyles they were looking for. So every model who sat in front of me just had a picture on their phone, and they're like, can you do this? Can you do that? It was like I was just doing regular hair appointments, except I wasn't making any money. So I thought it was weird, and I was just getting weird requests, like someone just wanted curls, somebody just wanted the hair in a bun, like nothing big, but that was okay, but it was just really weird. And I think I only did 1 or 2 models while I was there, and then it was just like over. I don't know. It was just really crowded, really loud, really chaotic. That's really all I can remember. So let's just fast forward a couple hours, because at this point I'm bored. So it got to the point where all the models were all done being taken care of. So I'm just thinking, but where's the show though? Because this is a small building and I see no chairs, I see no stage, no runway. But eventually other people started coming into this building and setting up tables and setting up pictures, and it was like tables with handmade jewelry and scarves and, you know, canvases that they painted on or whatever. And then it occurred to me, this is not a show, this is a flea market. This is not a fashion show, it's a flea market. Basically what I ended up finding out was this was not a fashion show. They advertised it as a fashion show in order to get hairstylists and makeup artists to come work with them, and they took advantage of the fact that it was during New York City Fashion Week, so they made it look as if they were a Fashion Week show. But really it was just some sort of networking event where people who were like in some sort of art industry or designing industry wanted to get noticed. So people who made clothes got their friends to come model for them, people who made jewelry did this. Like, it's just a networking opportunity, which is fine. It's just you should have advertised yourself as that, because I wasted my time. I had no problem spending the money to come to New York City and stay in a hotel to work on a real show and get the experience that I wanted to get, but this is a joke and was a waste of my time, and I was just really upset when I realized that. So anyway, so I realized all this was going on, and yet I still had no idea where the models were. Like, the models were just gone. They just disappeared. I still don't know who the designers are. And then eventually, I remember I was just hanging out with random people and like other hairstylists and makeup artists, and everyone seemed to be sharing the same frustration because we're all misled at what type of event this was supposed to be. So eventually somebody's like, oh, everybody's down in the basement, the fashion show's going on. You know, I'm just like overhearing people saying that. So I didn't even know there was a basement, but apparently there was a basement. So I go down the stairs and it's like this weird dark blue lighting, and it's like folding chairs. It's not even a runway. It's just folding chairs facing where the stairs end. Like, say that this is the staircase. This would be like, the wall would go like along this way and all the chairs were facing the stairs. So the model will come down the stairs and face everyone, do like a little walk around the whole room and then go back up the stairs. And the weird thing is that it's the same staircase that people who were coming to watch the show were using. So you might accidentally walk down with the models not knowing you were interrupting the show. So anyway, I went downstairs and then someone hands me a random card. And it's like a business card for someone who just makes African clothing. Then there was another one for someone who makes some other type of clothing. So it's just a networking event. Just people who just want to make clothes. And I guess they have stores nearby and this is their way of bringing people to their store. So it's one of those events where it's just like, let's get to know the neighborhood and the small businesses here. So it's not a fashion show. It's just like a boutique, basically. Definitely not worth my time traveling down to the city. I was so grateful that I was there for more than one show because that was a waste. So yeah, it was also really weird that the lighting was blue because you couldn't even properly see any of the work that was done. You know, you couldn't see anyone's makeup properly. No, I'm not even gonna mention what the hair looked like because it was just there. Like, there was nothing to it. I remember I just sat there just because I wanted to get pictures of the girls that I worked on, just because everyone at my job and my dance studio knew that I was going to New York to work at a fashion show. So I was like, I need to take pictures. But honestly, I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed. And the fashion show was going on so long because there were so many of them. Because like I said, there was like 100 people in those hotel rooms. So it was just going on and on and on because there was so many people who wanted to show their work. I mean, I guess that's normal for a fashion show, but just because of the way that it was set up, it just seemed boring because it was so unprofessional. The MC was just kind of making a joke out of everything. It was just... It's something you do with your friends, really. It's something you do at a community event, but don't advertise yourself to have people coming from wherever to come and help you work on your show. You know, it was a bold-faced lie, to say the least. This was not a fashion show. It was a networking event. So eventually I ended up going back up the stairs because I was bored, I was tired, I was frustrated, and I was hungry. They had vendors for jewelry and for art and for clothing, but for some reason they didn't have anyone who was there from catering. Like, there were no food samples anywhere. I was there all day. There was nothing to eat. I was hungry, okay? I remember that there were people who were eating pizza, and I was like, oh, okay, so they got pizza. Like, apparently they bought pizza for the people who came to help with the show, like me. And I was like, where's this pizza? And they were like, it's in the kitchen, which I also didn't know that there was in this building. I never saw a kitchen. But then I found the kitchen, and guess what? They were out of pizza. And then they were like, oh, don't worry, it was cold anyway. I mean, I don't like cold pizza, but I would have eaten it because I was hungry. So at that point, I was just done. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I really don't. I mean, I started mingling a little bit because people were like asking for business cards and everything, and that's what I was there for, to get myself out there and noticed. So I was giving out my cards to people. I was talking to people about what I do, and, you know, explaining that I know I don't live around here, but I'm willing to travel. I travel all the time, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up staying a little bit longer just because I finally found people to talk to who actually seemed interested in what I do. But then I was ready to go. I was ready to go. So that's pretty much the end of my day. I was gonna just leave right away, but Photo had said that he was gonna walk me back to my hotel room because at this point it was nighttime and he didn't want to like have me walking out in the street by myself. So I was really sticking around because he said he was gonna walk me back to the hotel. So I was waiting for him, but then I remember that I noticed that he was like hanging around this one girl for quite some time, and clearly they were having some sort of connection. So I was like, you know what, don't worry about it. So I went and I just told him good night, and he was the only person that I really said bye to because honestly, nobody else really knows who I am. No one knows my name here. I still don't know who's in charge of the show. I don't know who was texting me, or who, first of all, whoever I texted that morning never got back to me, but she got back to other people, so I guess she just chose who she wanted to answer. But yeah, I didn't know who I was working for. I didn't know whose model. I didn't know anything. Nobody introduced themselves. It was just a mess right from the start. So yeah, I eventually ended up just going back to my hotel. I put all my things down, and then I went out and I got some pizza because I was hungry. So that's basically my first experience working at New York City Fashion Week, fashion show, whatever you want to call it. I refuse to call it that though because it was a lie. Long story short, it was a lie. They took advantage of the time of the year and they used it to get themselves more exposure, but it was not a fashion show. That was not the main event. And like I said, you couldn't even tell that the building had a basement, so most people who were there weren't even looking at the fashion show. They were looking at all the little tables because it was like purses and scarves. You know, it was a flea market. So it was a very, very bad experience. And like I said, it was actually a 2-day show, and I was so glad that I didn't sign up to do 2 days because I would have just spent it by myself in the hotel room. I would not have gone again. But luckily I had another show to do the next day, which was a lot better, and maybe I'll explain that in a different story time, but that was an actual real fashion show experience, so I was glad that I had that to look forward to. But yeah, that was it for this story. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I feel like I left out some details, but it happened a while ago. It's been a few years, so I forgot a lot, but it was quite an experience. Definitely not the experience that I wanted, but it was an experience. So I just wanted to share that. So hope you found that entertaining. So that is all for my fabulous story. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!